Okay. All right. I think I'm getting this live streaming thing down. First things first, my name is Robert. And it's like I had to think about that. What's my name? And here I have, I guess it's cool to have your microphone showing all the time in a lot of these videos, but I don't. My microphone's right here. And I'm here to say I got the microphone settings set up beautifully. The video lighting, this should be in 4K. 4K video, 30 frames per second. And yeah, let me know how it goes. I'm monitoring myself now and it looks good. Looks like I need to increase the bitrate though. Let's see. All right. Okay, a little bit of extra information. Go ahead and skip forward by a couple minutes on this video and you'll see the meat of all the discussion. But for now, bear with me. I'm gonna go over Hedron in this video. I'm gonna also go over, um, I'm gonna go over some flexing. And hey, thanks the beached whale. That's hilarious. Thank you, the beached whale. You've enjoyed my videos. I'm glad you have. Please help me, like, subscribe, share to other people. And I'm going to do that right now. So after about a minute of me sharing this link with other people so they can watch this, live stream, I'm going to be talking about Hedron. I'm going to be highlighting something pretty important about Hedron. Then I'm going to be doing a Hedron flex, probably the very first Hedron flex, I think. I don't know. And also, let me increase these settings here. Maybe that'll do that. We'll try that. All right. If the video gets choppy at all, please let me know. I'll also be going over, well, the important things on Hedron. But first, a little bit of flexing. I'm here pretty late at the office, and it's I'm relaxing. Got a new office space too, kind of like an office that I can bring people to, no problem. This one, I want this to be more private. It has a lot of my stuff in it, and yeah. And with Hedron, I'm gonna go over the really important part of Hedron for Hedron to be successful. The community has got to stop hating me when I say this, and the community has just got to listen and make it happen. That's gonna be a really good thing. Let me get some candlelight ambiance in here. All right. So if you'll be patient with me, give me a minute or two. Give me a minute or two, and I'm going to share some links so that more of us can be here. Audio sounds good. Cool. Has anybody heard the audio before? It was really low. I hope I solved the problems for it. I think I did. Spent a lot of time on this, so I'm really happy to do this today. Okay, I am live. Hedron, some X, some flexing, and happy to answer any questions. Okay. Okay. Now to the Hedron room. Everybody, hey everyone. Oh, everyone. Excuse me. All right. If you can help me share these links, and give me one more minute on this. If you can help me share on Twitter, Facebook, etc. Oops. Pulse. I think I should talk a little bit about PulseChain too, because Ethereum and PulseChain have some interesting problems too that I don't think a lot of people are familiar with. Like, for example, people keep complaining about rising fees in Ethereum, and then people are looking to PulseChain. So I got to don't let me forget to talk about that. PulseChain, Ethereum. All right. All right, one more post for Facebook so we can get the Facebook people in here. It's too public. All right, well, I'll start. So, some flexing. Well, okay, you could see for the main cover of this video. The main cover of this video is a hex flex. Sorry, man, my nose is bugging the heck out of me. It was a flex I did with hex, like one of the first hex flex hashtag, and that's here. I'm gonna show you. Hey, keep watching. You'll see it right there. Oh yeah, it's beautiful. If you look on the bottom right, you can see hex flex, um, the license plate that I got for that. This is my Ferrari. This was purchased with performance from Hex. And someone said I looked hood rich on this, but just wearing some stuff that I'm comfortable with. And some of these items, one of these items is on a flex that I'm doing today. All right. So first of all, Hedron. Well, this is the first Hedron flex. So I went on a let me see. Let's look at Hedron's performance real quick. Like, yeah, that's what we got. Okay, so Hedron. Here's a live chart of Hedron. And when I was first doing videos on Hedron, where were we? We were like, we were even further out than this. But I think Hedron did a high of like 0.00006, which was well before when this chart wants to load up. But so we had Hedron dropping, and that's a really good thing that has happened here. Not price dropping. Nobody likes that, right? To be frank, I think a lot of price dropping is due to bad tokenomics, but also, Hedron absorbed a problem that Hex had. Hex did like an airdrop to a bunch of whales, people who were holding a lot of Bitcoin, and something with Ethereum too that they did that I haven't researched a whole lot. But Hex, Hex wasn't as evenly distributed because it solved the same problems of Bitcoin of not being so evenly distributed. But that's a totally different story. What Bitcoin did with these things, very different. But what I want to say is, Hedron gave like if you have Hex stakes, you better be interested in Hedron. You got to go to hedron.pro and claim your Hex stakes to lock in that bonus. If you haven't done that, if you have Hex stakes and you're watching this video for the first time, do that. It's free money, and it also equates to the supply of Hedron. Now, Hedron has a long-term game, and that long-term game is monetizing T-shares in Hex. So if you're already in Hex, you probably understand by now that T-shares are important. With Hex, when you stake Hex, you get shares in return, and these shares are what give you a piece of that interest pie, that decentralized interest, that extra payments that you're getting as a result of having your Hex. And that's what's interesting. That's what people are interested in here. I'll go back to the Hedron chart, but Hedron had a similar problem that now Hex didn't have a huge problem with distribution of its initial coins or its inflated coins, its inflated tokens going to the community. Hex didn't do too terrible of a job. Hex did penalize whales, and it did, but it did have a ton of freeloaders, right? It did have a ton of Bitcoin freeloaders. Now, Hedron kind of had a little bit of that same problem with Hex. It did, but kind of. The best you can do for distributing your tokens really is something based on personal sacrifice, work sacrifice. But before I get into all those, the beginning of Hedron is going to suffer dips as a result of getting Hedron distributed out there, getting people's Hedron tokens redistributed back to liquidity pools and then back to people who are interested in buying Hedron. So, is that phase done with Hedron? I thought it was mostly done the previous dip before Hedron started going up in price again. And likewise, it's still in that phase. So is Hedron done with all of its distributions? Probably not. It's hard to tell. The one thing for sure about Hedron that I'm doing this video about is is that is about its borrowing and liquidations. That is huge for Hedron, and that's gonna be nice. But yeah, if you want to take, I don't advise anyone or like suggest to anyone or influence anybody to do like crypto trading. I don't think it's that great of a thing to do, and really trading is a losing game. Not for everyone, but trading is, you gotta, if you're in it to trade and sell in the future, there's a lot to say about that there. But here with Hedron, I did some trading with Hedron and took a little bit of profits. Not a bad thing to take profits. Not a bad thing to, when you're holding onto a good chunk of coins, it's not a bad thing to liquidate or sell maybe 5% of that, 10% of that, or 2% of that, just to cover expenses or to treat yourself for what you're doing. In crypto, things move fast, and it's what you can do. Here's some things I treated myself with. I have, I got a new Mac here, a new Apple computer, and the streaming is going so much better on it. I'm so happy about it. But I had to get one of these for it. This is a LV bag. It fits this 14-inch laptop. Freaking perfect. I love it. So this was part of this Hedron Flex. This is part of what I did with some of my liquidations for Hedron. If you're wondering, by the way, I think I liquidated like no, wait, hold on. I think I liquidated like 2%, something like that, which came to like a few tens of thousands of dollars. And so, but the laptop, can't say the laptop is a Hedron Flex. I bought that like 3 months ago. If you're looking to get a new laptop, um, if you're looking to get a new Mac, you might want to order that right away, by the way. Really? You had to flex an LV bag? I'm out. Sorry. Sorry. Like, you know, um, there's some people like stuff like that. And if you don't, okay, too bad. If you don't, skip forward or watch this later and check out the Hedron information that's coming on with that. But heads up though on Apple laptops, there's like a major supply chain like problem, and it took me 3 months to get this laptop. All right, so you know what? I'll tell you what. Yeah, this kind of like flex is gonna just piss some people off that hate seeing flexes, but you know, yeah, skip forward if you don't like flexes. These are things I like, and I like to talk about things I like. I like Hedron, and let me show some of that. Let me show some of that off. I fucking love Hedron. Love this. So brought these in bags here. And when I'm getting some of these items, I'll talk with people about crypto all the time. Talk with people about crypto. Crypto has a huge chance. We all know crypto has a huge chance to really change the world and to make things more equitable for humanity. So keep talking good about Hedron. Hedron, Hex, crypto. Keep talking good about crypto to people. We got to inspire people to not hate crypto and to not be afraid of it. Hey, first thing I got with this Hedron Flex. This isn't the first thing I got. First thing I got was a bunch of Prada shoes. But this super girly tote bag. I don't care how girly this thing is. Tote bags are great. You can throw a bunch of crap in them and leave them in your car. And yeah, I love it. So I got this. My daughter was all looking at this like, oh, let me see that bag. She wanted the bag. It's all like pink inside and stuff, but that was cool. And hey, keep dreaming big. I've been into crypto for 11 years, and I never thought that I would like stuff. But really, that's why I didn't have a whole lot of money. I had a lot of these self limiting thoughts that, oh, I don't need that. Well, Of course, you don't ever need anything. Needing is a demand. But if you want it, you want to enjoy it, you want to appreciate it, like that's okay. That's okay. So if you're looking to do better in crypto and to do better monetarily, first thing you got to do is not feel like something is too much for you, right? 'Cause is it too much for you? Is it? I mean, too much crack is a bad thing. Too much cocaine is a bad thing. But too much of something that you want to appreciate and is cool, it's not a bad thing. Here's this. It's a little change purse. Uh, Gucci went with like blue and red, and I freaking love that because I hated the green and red. It just made me think of like Rastafarian stuff, and I guess I have some emotional issues with that. I got a bunch of quarters in here, and uh, another one. I did a for any of you who like Instagram. I have an Instagram page. Maybe I'll try to link that. I love Instagram. Like not political. It's a good place to be. So yeah, I bought two of these. Gucci lady didn't want to. The Gucci lady rep didn't want to argue with me about that. She's like, okay, you want both, and what do you do? And I told her what I did. I said, hey, a lot of this, what I'm getting here is from a budget of doing well with cryptocurrency. Oh, you're doing well with cryptocurrency, and she didn't want to talk about like any sort of thoughts people have on cryptocurrency, which are that only criminals use them or something. But that's a stigma that we gotta get rid of. Prada. Went to Prada and got like four different shoes. I think you get the point, right? Like, I don't think I'm somebody who needs to really talk about like what I'm getting or flexing. Um, some people have hated me on the flex part and saying, "Oh, don't do that. Like, that's dumb. Don't do the flexing thing." But it's good to do. I got this a while ago, and I finally figured out what to use it for. I'm just putting my car keys in it. Like it's supposed to be for AirPods, but this is terrible. I should have known. Like anybody looking at anybody looking to flex and looking at getting accessories from Burberry, don't do it. It's their accessories are so terrible. It's not even funny. All right, so shall we get to Hedron? Well, let me say one thing about Hedron. Hedron, it has to do this one thing. Hedron absolutely has to attract borrowing. Because with Hedron, you can borrow against your hex stakes. But before you can borrow against your hex stakes, you have to wrap them in a Hedron staked instance. Maybe it's hex staked instance. I don't remember anymore. But that's really important. All hex stakes that I make now, I do make them as an HSI, Hedron staked instance. I think that's it. Because I believe in the Hedron code, it's been audited, and hey, there is a risk that you're taking by creating an HSI. But you can borrow against an HSI. You can turn an HSI into an NFT, and then you can transfer it to, let's say, your cold storage account and have better security. All right. So borrowing, is borrowing there yet? Do people want to do borrowing? Not really, not at this price, because at this price, let me look at something here on there. Okay, at the current price of Hedron, it's like every million Hedron you have. Wait, no, every million. Yeah, I think every million Hedron you have, that equates to $2. Yeah. And to have a million Hedron, you need some stuff to have that. Let me go over that with you here. Right now I'm loading up one of my wallets. Let's see, let's load up this one. Okay, let me show you the screen again. All right, so like every million Hedron you have, let me calculate this. Every million Hedron you have, you can mint like $2.50. something like that. So here, when you have borrowable Hedron, that's cool. Here I have a stack, I have an instance. I have a hex instance, a Hedron staked instance. It's unlocked. It is 0.9 T shares. It's for the quad 5, the Quattro Cinco stake. And so here's how this works. You have your B shares. See if you can see this roll. You have your B shares. So this staked instance here has 920 B shares. So 0.9 hex T shares. And the length of the hex stake is 5,555 days, a little more than 15.2 years. So if you take this 920 something B shares and you multiply it by 5,555 days, that's how much borrowable Hedron you're going to have. Now, this is an estimate, by the way. It's an estimate because the math for Ethereum is a lot better than the math in your web browser. Now, that might sound a little weird, but the math in Ethereum is using integer-based math. So, integers are just a lot more accurate programmatically than numbers with decimal places in it. Yeah, and for you programmers out there, floating point math, a lot of programmers don't know why that's inaccurate. That's for another video. If you want to know why purposes, this is an estimate. So if you see estimate here, that's what the case is. So you take your B shares and you multiply it by the total days you'll serve, and that is how much you can borrow. So this is 5 million Hedron I can borrow. Woohoo! So how much is that if I need cash right now? Okay, well, that's like $12. All right, so with Hedron, I created this HSI. I spent probably $100 and something just to create this instance, $100 and something in gas fees. And I'm going to be able to borrow 12 bucks. That sucks. Okay, so this part of Hedron's not working out right now, and it's not going to. I'm going to get into the part that's really exciting that's not going to work, but let's talk about this. Let's talk about this here, because this can create a snowball effect. That's actually a super positive snowball effect for Hedron's price. All right, let me get to the point. All right, so that's not worth it, right? However, many people, if you look at this graph up here on the Hedron site, hedron.pro, I'm putting the mouse over these different days, these different Hedron days, and you'll see that lots of Hedron is getting burnt. That's pretty cool. But also a good chunk of Hedron is getting borrowed. Like today, more than 9 billion Hedron was borrowed. That's pretty cool. So borrowing, people who are borrowing right now, is it economical? No, it's not economical. But what it is it's interesting. It's something new to do. It's something for people to play with. But second part. Come on, Robert, think. But what we have here is liquidations. Liquidations is, what's up, T-Bird? Okay, had to say hello to T-Bird. Liquidations is the meat and bones of what can drive insanity price for Hedron. Now, the stake instance that I created, that I showed you on this account, this HSI that I created, that I can borrow against, maybe it was $1,000, maybe it was $2,000. I don't remember how much it is. Maybe I should look it up. But I don't remember how much it was right now. But it took me $1,000, maybe $2,000, $1,000 to be able to borrow 12 bucks. Okay, whatever. Chances are, if I want to sell this instance, I'm not gonna sell it. I'm not gonna. If I want to sell this instance, if I want to monetize this instance, I might sell the NFT, but I lose. If I sell the NFT, I no longer control this stake. I no longer make daily interest on this stake, right? So if I'm in a cash crunch, or if I want to get a little bit of extra hex with my borrowable Hedron, I just borrow from it, right? But with borrowing, I have to pay that back. And if I don't pay anything back for 90 days, that's where liquidation is going to happen. And that's where Hedron gets super, super exciting. That's what we're going to talk about here. And this is, if this happens with Hedron, Hedron's price is going to explode. Let me get some of this water. Mm. So I'm going to continue with a little bit of the flex stuff because I promised it, and I like this stuff. I think it's cool. But I got this bag here. Oh man, wanted to wear these. Shit. I got these nylon. Burberry makes these nylon like shorts, and I saw them and I was like, oh hell no, I have to get these just to put my hands in them or something. And um, I love these things. I think these are freaking cool. So I got this. Oh, they smell really good. That was pretty sweet. And I think I mentioned I'd gotten a bunch of shoes. I mean, for shoe people, dude, these Pradas, this bag, like, I don't know, you can, with this bag, you can probably take things into Disney World and Universal that you're not allowed to. But to be frank, I put my car keys in here, and then I just walk up to the car and open it. Don't have to have it in my pocket. Probably not a safe place to put your car keys, even though it's really sturdy. But these are Adidas shoes, like Adidas and oh, we got a little gross pebble there, but Adidas and Prada work together to make these, and these are freaking cool as hell, man. That's all I want to say for that. Yeah, I went a little bit nuts with this Hedron Flex. So many Hexagons are still sleeping on Hedron. Oh, you're so right, T-Bird. Um, got these comfy ass things. Excuse my language. Got, uh, Richard Hart has these in the boot form, right? They call these dinosaur teeth shoes. And in their photos, they look kind of like that. They look flat, right? But when you wear them and this part comes out, I think it looks sick. It's really cool. And gross. And yeah, these things are gorgeous. They are so comfortable, it's nuts. The shoes that I was wearing earlier today at the office, with the blue on the bottom, these things are insanely comfortable. Like I had a pair of Prada shoes that I wore for over 3 years. I just kept wearing them over and over again, and they look terrible. They look disgusting. Anybody who's a big like fan of shoes loves seeing these shoes, and then they're sad. They're like, "Oh man, oh you've had those for a while," and they're abused, but they're so beautiful. Yeah, Ben. Ben, I'm going to talk a bit about PulseChain here. There's tokenomics that there's tokenomics that I really want to chat about with PulseChain that Ethereum suffered from, but I don't think it's a bad thing. It's a bad thing for fees, but it's a really good thing that has an interesting expense out of it. And what do you all think? If you can drop a comment if you see this section, I'm thinking of renaming this channel to something that has to do with tokenomics. Tokenomics is like, you hear about economics, you hear about people who went to school for economics or an economics professor, uh, but now we have all these cryptocurrencies, and we have these things that people can design. It's not like economics doesn't really teach you a whole lot about money, right? I mean, I guess it does, but what's under the hood of money? Hood. What's under the implementation side of money? The design of money. A lot of people don't think about this, and this really isn't something taught in school. There's no class on how to make your own money. But today, that can exist. So tokenomics is like a discussion of that. I first heard the word tokenomics from Ryan Taylor. He's the CEO, I think he's still the CEO of the Dash Foundation. Dash Foundation was the first instantly settled cryptocurrency, and it is the most secure cryptocurrency with a combined um, proof of work mining, but also like this voting consensus with master nodes where you have to lock up collateral. Um, it could be better. It could be better, but but yeah, all right. So T-Bird, you want to see some more shoes? I'm sure some other people do, but these are I bought shoes for my sweetheart, and these are pretty cool. Look at these things, man. You could see the whole room with these, but I'm not turning them enough. Go frame by frame, and you can see what this room looks like. But these are red bottoms, Christian Louboutin shoes. These things are sick. She loves stuff like this. I got her this other I got her this other like Christian Louboutin shoes, but she would not let me show them on this stream. They're like secret, right? All right, so that's about it. I got a bunch of Burberry shirts, not this one. I've had this for a while. A bunch of Burberry shirts and Versace shirts. But I don't have them here with me. Don't have them here at the office. I have what I put in this key ball to show for this video. And let's see. Let's put this on. Okay. All right. All right. Well, last part last. Let's see something about this bracelet. This is porcelain. It's really cool. All right, so there I am. I'm a material person. Back to Hedron. All right, so yes, many hexagons are sleeping on Hedron. Hedron doesn't hurt Hex. Hedron's been very giving. I mean, Hex has been so many airdrops have gone to Hex. If you're still not into Hex yet, it's worth having. It's worth learning about. You'll learn a ton about it. And myself, my retirement, and my savings is in Hex. I'm designing something now to take over my retirement and savings. I'll talk about that in the future. But Hex right now is a great tool, and Hedron is monetizing part of Hex. So next, all right. So when you borrow on Hedron, or you get an advance for your coins, or you get an advance for the the B shares. Well, let's look at that and describe that. But what I was discussing about before is these B shares, the shares that you get, Hedron monetizes those. And what you can do is you can always mint Hedron. You go to actions, and you click this mint button. You can always do that. So with Hex, you got to wait with Hex to get your interest. A Hedron every day will give you Hedron. You can mint your own Hedron, so you can put more supply in the market. And if gas fees are worth it, you can sell it. Gas fees likely will not be worth it at all. It'll likely be worth it when PulseChain comes out, and of course everything you have on the Ethereum network, everything you're doing in Ethereum is going to be on PulseChain. So, hey, when PulseChain gets launched, you might have a dip with Hedron. You might have a dip because so many people can mint new Hedron for a cost of nothing and dump that on the market. But here, when you mint Hedron, you've got to pay the gas fees, and let's see what that fee is going to be. Okay, I am not getting an estimated gas fee right now. Network must be down. So every day that you serve on Hex, Hedron gives you more Hedron that you can mint, and depending on when you claimed that Hex stake of yours, or depending on when you created the instance, you get a bonus multiplier. This bonus multiplier is going down every day. I have no idea where that bonus multiplier is now. Huh. Bonus multiplier somewhere. It's probably at like 6 or 5 or 4. Oh wait, 7. Yeah, it's either at 6 or 5. But point is, when you borrow Hedron, you do not borrow the amount multiplied. We'll put it this way. The borrowable Hedron, once again, is stake B shares multiplied by the total days that you're going to serve. The mintable amount of Hedron is your B shares multiplied by your served days, plus 7 times, or your multiplier times the staked B shares. That's how much Hedron you can mint at any time. So cool. You can get extra liquidity from your Hex stakes, or from your HSI instances that you created, but the borrowable Hedron never has that multiplier applied. The borrowable Hedron, it's like an advance that you can get. So if you have these HSI stakes, you can get all of your Hedron upfront without, like I can, in this stake instance, I can get all of my Hedron upfront. I can mint it without serving 15 years. All right, so now, next part, borrowing. Oh, well, the liquidations. So if I don't pay back, like, when you get this advance, you have to make like monthly payments, right? And now here's what's going on. Anybody who doesn't make these payments, they're going to get liquidated. And so other people are going to be able to buy their HSI from them. They're going to be able to buy their hex stake from them. Well, kind of like forcefully bought from them. So, because of the Ethereum network, the first people who borrowed from these HSIs, the first people who borrowed from them, they might not be able to pay that back because of, I mean, if PulseChain doesn't come to save us from Ethereum fees, it's possible people who borrowed and just playing around on that, it's possible that they won't be able to pay back because of super high gas fees. Uh, what's also possible is they forget about paying back the Hedron. Yeah. So, on testnet, when people were auctioning these, let me step over. When you don't pay back what you've borrowed for the future of your Hedron, when you don't pay it back, you get liquidated. And when you get liquidated, people can bid. There's like an auction. People can bid to take over your stake. And these bids went crazy on testnet with Hedron. People were bidding like nuts. And people love to bid. It's gamification. It's games. But now when people are gaming on real world value, when they're bidding to get your hex stake, well, for one, the price of Hedron is so low right now that all of us who have the ability to mint Hedron might mint Hedron to bid very high on somebody's hex stake. For example, the stakes that I showed you earlier here, or this one stake I showed you earlier, let's say I didn't pay back this $12. Yeah, let's say I didn't pay back this $12 worth of Hedron. I forgot about it, or I didn't have the gas money because gas is insanely high price right now. That would be very sad. But this is a $1,000 stake that, well, I think it was $1,000 stake. The stake that I created, the stake that I created is gonna pump. Let me see, let's go.x. This stake that I created is going to produce massive value over time. Here I'm at the Hex website, go.hex.com, and let me calculate real quick. So each T-share, I already know the average, but each T-share pays you Hex every day. And I already know that the average is about 6 T-shares over the last 180 days or 6 months. So 6 Hex times 5,555 days is getting like 33,000 Hex as interest. Now today, the Hex price is, I don't know what it is. Let's say it's 13.5 cents. So, okay, so this approximately $1,000 Hex stake, this approximately $1,000 that I've staked for 15.2 years is going to generate, assuming that Hex stays at the same exact price on the Ethereum network, this is going to generate about 4,500 extra US dollars worth of Hex value. Probably more because the next 15 years, the US dollar is almost inevitably going to inflate more and be worth less. So, not only is this going to produce interest on the Ethereum chain, but also on PulseChain. So that's like double the interest, double the stake. So this is a pretty valuable stake. So how much is this stake worth? It's a good question. Well, the stake is definitely worth no less than $1,000. It's hard to tell how much this stake is going to be worth, especially over the US dollar inflation over the next 15.2 years. But I believe that a stake is worth the total amount of interest and principal of the stake. Now that's going to be different for everyone else. I might not want to buy something that's going to give me $6,000 in the future, or $10,000 or $12,000 in the future. I might not want to buy that today because of what I can do with $1,000 today. I might not. But if I get it for a deal, if somebody says, hey, give me $100, I'm going to give you this $1,000 hex stake, it's going to give you a bunch of interest in the future. $100, I'll say yes. Cool. For $100, I'll take that. But that's me. That's me. Other people, it may be worth more to them. And that's why a bid system's great. So when it comes to these auctions that are going to happen, well, there's going to be a demand to bid on them. These liquidated HSIs or these hex stakes, the fact that they can be bid on, it's going to be valuable to different people. And different people are going to have different amounts of Hedron that they can use to do this. But what about people who don't have Hedron? What about hex whales or hex people who've been sleeping on Hedron and they don't have much Hedron because they were sleeping and they didn't pay attention? I think a lot of hex people have been sleeping on Hedron. But you know what? Instead of thinking I should find out, because this data is out there, you can get this data. Point is, what's that going to do to the market pressure of Hedron? The first liquidated stakes, that's not going to be for another, 50 days? Yeah, we're at Hedron day 41. 90 minus 41. The first stakes that were borrowed against or took out their advance about 50 days ago, 49 days ago, 48 days ago, whatever. So another, not 48, sorry, 41 days ago, 42 days ago, 40 days ago, whatever. Now, if people aren't paying, if these very first borrowed instances are not paying, then yeah, they're going to be auctioned off. But the first thing is, there's other reasons that this can happen. And those other reasons are somebody might just let their stakes go. I tell you what, I'm going to be frank. This instance here, I am thinking about borrowing all of this Hedron and just never paying it back because I want to see what happens. Okay, I'll sacrifice that. And sacrificing is very popular now. It was made very popular by PulseChain and PulseX. Sacrificing for the greater good is something that people in cryptocurrency do all the time. So I speculate that people in Hedron are going to let their stakes expire. Now that makes no financial sense. But then again, sacrificing itself doesn't really make financial sense. But this is all done for emotional reasons. This is done because people want to play. They want to see what happens. They want to see how the game theory works out. Now, I know that's not going to be sustainable. People aren't going to just let all their hex stakes go away and let other people buy them. So that's not sustainable. However, the first hex stakes that get liquidated, who knows how much buying pressure that's going to create, right? Like here we got Hedron. Let me see if I can make this bigger. But how much buying pressure is that going to create? We have in the last 24 hours volume of $120,000. Roughly equal number of buys and sells are roughly equal. That's pretty low. I think a lot of people are sleeping here. But the buying pressure for Hedron could go up massively with people who aren't in Hex or people who've been watching Hedron, but people who were in Hex but who haven't gotten to Hedron. If the buying pressure goes up significantly, who knows what price you may run into on Hedron. Now, I'll tell you from listening to what Alex, the creator of Hedron, stated here, and I did some research and I see that Alex is right. The tokenomics of Hedron aren't that great. They could have been a lot better. There's some things though that are awesome like this. This is incredible, especially for an investor who's interested in these things, or for somebody who wants to monetize their T-shares. But let's say, the price of Hedron I think it could get to a tenth of a penny, but really the price of Hedron is going to be somewhere around what the market decides T shares are worth. Of course, one's getting liquidated. But all right, so let's say the first Hedron um, auctions that happen. Let's say that they explode the price of Hedron. All right, let's say the price of Hedron goes up so much that um, goes up so much from buying and bidding. What could possibly happen is a lot of people who took their Hedron out previously and have to pay interest on it. It's possible that if they don't have that Hedron still, like if they bought Hex instead, and they didn't buy and they don't still have that Hedron, but they have to pay back the interest and they have to pay back the Hedron so that they don't lose their HSI, so that they don't lose their stake. Um, well, they might not be able to pay that back. I mean, if the price of Hedron 100 folds, that's like me taking out. This situation is like me taking out or somebody taking out a loan for $50,000, and then suddenly the bank tells you, "Oh, no, your principal and interest due is more like $5 million." You know, your typical person doesn't tenfold their value in a few months or in a couple months. So from this auction happening, suddenly you could have a ton of HSI instances where people borrowed from. Suddenly you could have tons of those where people can't pay them back because, I mean, even if they still have the Hedron that they borrowed, they need to pay back interest. And that might be massively a lot more valuable and a lot, it might not be possible for people to pay back their instances. So, so we had the scenario where somebody is borrowing for fun. They're getting advances of Hedron for fun. And we have the situation where people are doing this as a sacrifice. You know, I'm telling you what, one of my HSIs, I'm gonna sacrifice it. I want to see how this plays out. Many other people do. So, so my curiosity might drive up the Hedron price to where a lot of other people who have advanced and have borrowed can't pay back their advance and their borrow. Holy hell! Will that be a snowball? Will that be, uh, myself? Do I want to acquire other HSIs? Yeah, that'd be cool. Um, I, it boils down to, can I build the stake myself with Hex and Hedron? Can I build the stake myself, or can I buy it from someone else? Well, I can sure bid on it and see if I get it for a cheaper price, but that's going to be more worth it to someone else. All right, I hope that makes sense. So this is one situation. If you have any questions on what I was just saying there, please type them in there. I want this to be understood by others. I want others to see that there's something interesting going on here. And not only is there something interesting, but you and others, or other friends of yours or family, they could buy a Quattro Cinco stake from Hex, or they could buy a time locked deposit on the blockchain. They could buy it for a lot less than it's worth. And all they need is the patience to wait for that stake to mature, and then they can enjoy those financial rewards. I think that's pretty neat. I think that's pretty cool. I hope nobody suffers from that, but I do think that's neat. Let me hit on some of these questions here. Anonymous number one. Really, you had to flex the LV. That's right. That's right. Let's see. Making me want choose higher final. Yeah, true. So, one thing that's hard to see at first is that Hedron's tokenomics, the tokenomics of Hedron, they do have some Burnamentals in there. And all of this bidding that happens, the winning bidder, that Hedron gets burnt. And even when you borrow Hedron, when you take out an advance against your stakes, you get that advance, cool. But what you borrowed is eventually going to get burned, and a little bit more of Hedron's supply is going to get burned. Hedron is a patient, long-term game. Now, a lot of things in crypto, people are looking for that next 100x. Um, don't always look for your next 100x. Don't put all your bags looking for the next crypto to 100x, because that's that's playing quite a speculative game in a world of tokenomics that very few people understand. But even if the tokenomics are great, the development team and the leadership team behind it, they've got to be super committed. There's a lot of factors involved here. A lot of factors involved. So you got to really love something if you want to get interested into it. Um, and typically a long-term play is better. So Hedron's got something cool going on with that. But there's a lot of Burnamentals in Hedron. Let's go back to, let's look at this one more time. And if you look up at on the top right of the Hedron.pro DApp, let's see how much was burned today. Oh yeah, like a huge amount. Oh, okay. Look at this. So someone who had borrowed like 9.7 billion Hedron. 9.7 billion Hedron. Let's see how much that is worth approximately right now. Okay, that's worth about 23 grand, 23,000 US dollars. It was also burnt today. So maybe they borrowed and then paid back. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't played with this function, but it looks a lot like that. Um, they're gonna owe interest on that too, and that interest is gonna get burned. Let's see. So I am moving my mouse over the different Hedron days, and you see that there is borrowed Hedron and there is burnt Hedron. Not every day. Some days there's nothing borrowed, nothing burnt. But it's good amount minted. Not a whole lot borrowed, like 60 million, like $120 worth borrowed, and like $80 burnt, or more than 80. I don't know. My math is being weird. Alex or whoever is running this Hedron site, please put the commas in here on the numbers. Please put commas there. You have commas down here, which is great, but please put it in the graphs as well, because it's very hard to look at these numbers and read it. Okay, so there's a lot of burning going on. There are a lot of burnamentals. And when you have a lot of burnamentals, you might have this hyperinflationary Hedron token, but as supply gets removed, then when things are supply and demand, when supply is removed, I don't know what to say. That doesn't mean demand is better. When supply is removed, potentially something is more valuable. All right. Okay. Yeah, it's worth getting your stakes, your HSI stakes, because I mean, yeah, it's worth at least claiming your hex stakes on Hedron because you get to mint Hedron. All right, they are sleeping. If you win an auction, can you then resell that stake later? Yes, you can. Thank you for asking that. So if you win an auction, right? Now I didn't see this on testnet, so I'm going to be completely transparent with you on that. But my guess of what you do there is when you win that auction, because of how the stake is wrapped, that transfer of ownership is easy. You would then see that stake here. Let me go back to that screen. You would then see that stake somewhere in your list of stakes. And then you go to actions, tokenize. When you tokenize it, once again, you're creating an NFT out of it. You can form your own little deal with somebody else and sell them that NFT. You can go to OpenSea, OpenSea.io, and you can sell that NFT on the open market. You can also end stake and pay penalties. It's almost never going to be worth it on a quad 5 stake. You can mint the unserved days. Oh wait, no, you can't. Sorry, if you already borrowed it, you're not gonna be able to mint it. But yeah, you can tokenize that. It's a good question. Yeah. Do I still follow the fruit diet? Not 100%. I eat a lot more fruit, and Um, yeah, I was up to 100% fruit for about a week, like 6 days, 7 days, and that was great. I felt so much better. Today, I'm drinking a ton of water, trying to stay away from a lot of addicted foods that I'm addicted to. Eating a lot more fruit. If I eat an apple, usually I'll eat like 3 or 4 apples. If I have a banana, I'll have like 3 or 4 bananas. Often I'll go to the grocery store and get a lot of prepared fruits, like watermelons, not watermelon. It's not watermelon season, not a good season for watermelon. Uh, I'll get, what is it called? Honeydew melon and cantaloupe. I'll get some of those. I do that a lot. Yeah, thank you for asking. The fruit diet is the best diet anybody can do. As soon as I'm doing, let's get closer on this camera here. As soon as I'm doing 100% fruit, you're gonna see a big difference here on my face. Right? It's not gonna be so sunken in. You're gonna see a big difference here. Um, it's swollen. This is actually what a swollen face looks like. Uh, but in our society, with the foods people eat, everybody kind of looks like the same. Um, but this is what a swollen face looks like. Yeah, thanks. Single staking HDR. Million. I really like your question. You think we will have single staking HDRN? I don't know what you mean by that. My guess is maybe another Hedron contract will come out where you can stake Hedron itself. To be frank, um, I really think, I really think Alex made a lot of mistakes with the tokenomics of Hedron. They're beautiful though, and really, I can't judge because I've looked a lot at the Hedron tokenomics, but the creator of them, Alex, surely looked at them way more than I have. And I would love to talk with him. Alex, if you're watching, I don't think you're watching, but I'll keep hitting you up so that we can talk again. I'd love to talk with you about some things on the tokenomics. So, anyways, as I say this, Alex is really the man to talk to. And I can't claim, no matter how much you research tokenomics, there's things you can still miss. But from many hours of looking at Hedron, I may have looked at Hedron for over 30 hours and did my own simulations. I spent a good amount of time on it. And I think, the Burnamentals of Hedron are awesome. The borrowing against your own Hedron, that's a game changer. Right now, it's not always worth it. Uh, but with liquidating with liquidated stakes that are being liquidated, that can potentially add a ton of buying pressure to Hedron's market price. With Hedron's market price 100 folding, or even 10 folding, that's going to make borrowing against your Hedron a lot more worth it. So, so you're gonna have a snowball effect where you'll see a lot more borrowing. Excuse me. And with this extra borrowing, I mean, who knows what can happen? This is what I'm saying that people should pay attention to. This is really interesting. So you don't want to sleep on Hedron. Finished. And I really think, I wonder about, I don't think, I really don't think you're going to be able to create a new contract. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to create a new contract so that you could stake Hedron. But one thing that would have made Hedron's tokenomics a lot better would be if you're creating a hex stake to also have required Hedron, have required burning Hedron. No reason not to do that. And creating an NFT when you tokenize Hedron. I really think burning Hedron should have been mandatory to do that, to get more Hedron out of supply. I really think there should have been a Hedron cost when doing these actions as well. All right. I've got tens of billions of Hedron bag. Don't get left behind while it's cheap. Yeah, yeah. A lot of the Hedron that has been dumped on the market is like, you got to remember, Hedron is released to the market, or new Hedron is printed, new Hedron is minted every day, right? And the big dumps that you've seen lately it wasn't the result of today's Hedron being minted and then everybody sold it. It wasn't the result of all the Hedron over the last week being dumped. No, no, no. The dumps that happened recently were the result of the last 2 years worth of shares getting dumped. I mean, so what? Like your average stake. I'd be really curious to see, and if anybody knows it, please put it in the chat. Um, I've been wanting to look at for a while. I've been wanting to look at the total amount of hex shares, including the average served time of a stake. Like what we see in like the Staker app, and what we see in like that we can calculate ourselves. But what we see in like Staker.app, we see the average. Let me find that average. We see the average days. We see the average days that hex stakes are going to serve in the future. Let me look that up. But what I'd like to know is the average number of days that hex stakes have already served. Be a good way to calculate that. All right, so the average amount of time that, oh, let's find 6.4 years. So your average length, your average duration of a hex stake is 6.4 years. Cool. My average is 6.91. Feels good to be a little higher than that. All right. So yeah, a lot of this dumping is very healthy. Very healthy. It's a Hedron really can't dump as hard as it has. It can't. The only people who can really dump Hedron now are speculators, people who are still trading and speculating. With Hedron borrowing, that means more Hedron's going to get burnt. With borrowing and taking out advances against your HSI, more Hedron's going to get burnt no matter what. Hedron's going to get burnt from the bids. It's going to get burnt from people paying back their Hedron that they borrowed in interest. It's pretty amazing. In fact, it's so much of a thing that there could be a major supply issue with Hedron in the future. And that major supply issue is why we have this advanced mint ratio bonus. Actually, I forget what the A stands for, but mint ratio, what does it stand for? Let's look. White paper. I wish I could just search words on here, but this is an image or something. It's I hate that. I hate that they did that. Okay. I probably passed it. Yeah, I think it's in the AMR. I think it's in the minting section. Launch phase bonus. Oh no, it's here. Cool. Advanced to mint ratio. Okay. All right. So the Burnamentals and Hedron, they're pretty real. The supply of Hedron can become a huge issue. And if that does become a huge issue, this AMR bonus will kick in. And this AMR bonus, I mean, it is inevitable that the AMR bonus is going to kick in. And when that bonus does kick in, you have, let's say myself here, right? Or let's say this, let's look at a long time mint of mine. Like, look at this, right? If that AMR bonus kicks in, let me make sure you can see it. Okay, so looking at this stake here, let's say this AMR bonus is 3x. Now I've claimed this hex stake. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means instead of minting 8.6 million, instead of minting 8.6 million Hedron, I'm going to be able to mint X times more than that. Now, it's been a while since I've looked at the white paper on that part. Let's see that one more time. Okay, the advanced mint ratio bonus exists solely to ensure there's always enough free market hedron to cover all borrowing premiums. Ah, wait, premiums. Okay, premiums. This bonus triggers only if the global amount of borrowed hedron is to exceed more than 50% of the total supply in existence. For every percentage point borrowed supply exceeds beyond 50% of the total supply, this bonus will increase by 0.2x. This effectively makes the range of the bonus 0.2x to 10x. When this bonus is triggered, it will exist for only a single hedron day, scaling downward on following days until the ratio is fixed and the total borrowed supply is 50% or less of the total supply. All right, that's a lot of words, but that's very specific words, so you can analyze these tokenomics yourself. But let's see. Let's look at minting. Amount of hedron minted, days served. Oh, it doesn't say where the AMR bonus kicks in. All right, let's see if any of these formulas talk about the minting advance borrowing. No, let's see if there's any. Oh man, come on, Alex. All right, if anybody knows what actually gets multiplied, that would be really nice to know. Um, I thought I did know. Maybe I knew from talking in the chat room, the Hedron chat room, but maybe I'm just not remembering it right. Fine. Okay, source address, flow address, addresses. Okay, those are the addresses of interest. All right, so where does that bonus come from? I mean, not where does it come from, what does it get applied to? My guess is that just like these other Hedron numbers, my guess is that the amount of Hedron you'll be able to mint with this bonus is the number of B shares multiplied by the number of served days. Right? Take that number, then add or multiply it by 11 or multiply it by whatever your bonus is. Multiply it by whatever your bonus is plus 1. And then add your B shares multiplied by the AMR bonus. That's my guess. Because I don't think this bonus is being, well, that would be adding it to here anyways. Okay. I need to go home soon. I'm getting tired. And maybe a little hungry. Hungry for fruit. I'll have fruit. All right, so next topic here that I really wanted to cover and talk about, because it keeps coming up, and I want more people to be aware of this. Let's see. Drink some lemonade with those bananas. Drink some lemonade with those bananas. Yeah, I'll drink lemonade if it's like lemonade, right? A bunch of lemons. I'll do that. That's a great idea. Oh, cool. There's a Hexhedron Discord. Let me write that down. Hexhedron Discord. Yeah, let me write that down. Thank you for letting me know, Sharky. T-Bird, I really appreciate what you're putting in here for other people. That's good information. A lot of people make a minimum of 2 HSIs, borrow on one and pay it back with the other one. Mint with bonus on one to pay back the borrow at base rate. Cool. I mean, it sounds cool. I haven't like dug into it, but it sounds cool. I think Hex was a bit too generous to early holders and BTC free claimers. RH has said as much about that. Yeah, oh well. Yeah, I think it was way too generous as well. Now I'm sure Richard Hart is looking back and thinking, damn, should have done that whole sacrifice thing back then. Right? Because that would have definitely helped the distribution. Like a financial sacrifice, a sacrifice where people are sending coins to an address that they have, like, they don't know what that address is used for. That could have been really useful. I think a sacrifice might be the best way to distribute coins in the future. Let's see. Free, other hand, bragging rights, which I don't mind. Yeah. This one person, when do you think PulseChain launches? Man, do you want an honest answer of when I think PulseChain launches? I'll give you an honest answer. I think the PulseChain launch will be after the first, will be sometime after the first. I really don't know. I'm not like in the project, right? I'm just listening to what Richard Hart says and listening to what Richard Hart says. So I don't really know. But last year when PulseChain was announced, and by the way, I'll get to the next topic of PulseChain and Ethereum, their fees, deflationary, a little bit, some information that I think people are overlooking about Ethereum and PulseChain. Definitely overlooking about PulseChain. PulseChain's fees will be super expensive in the future, guarantee you. I just don't know how soon, but I'll tell you why. But first thing here, when will PulseChain launch? I don't know. But when I first heard about PulseChain's launch and first heard about the sacrifice that was coming, I think people were thinking, oh, this could be like 2 to 3 months away. And I was thinking to myself, no way. It's not going to happen. So last year, when it was first being discussed, when is the launch of PulseChain, I thought to myself, I mean, at minimum, at least 6 months, maybe a year. That's what I thought. And I thought that because, um, I'm familiar with the development process of blockchains. I've been there for many other blockchains and their releases, many of them failing. And let's see, which ones are still around that I was there for the launch? Dogecoin or Dogcoin, whatever, Dogecoin. Wasn't there for Dash. I did hear about it. I'm thinking about all sorts of coins that are dead. I'm trying to think of the ones that are alive now, that are still around. I think Dogecoin is the only one that's still around. Litecoin. Um, yeah. But Litecoin, I only heard about it when it was launched. Um, and with Dogecoin, it's like the launch was like when it was made, right? So hearing about PulseChain, I thought there's no way that this is going to be launched in 2 to 3 to 4 months. You've got the whole system state of the blockchain that's going to be carried over, which is a great idea. It's being changed to a DPoS, delegated proof of stake, which is not simple, and it's not already part of Ethereum's code. I mean, I don't know how much of it was already part of Ethereum's code, but I know that was a very monumental thing for the EOS world, from Proton shares being renamed to Bit shares, then later going to different projects like Steam, then later going to, very shortly after, going to the project EOS. Delegated proof of stake, it works, but it's just a super different animal than proof of work, which Ethereum is. And blockchain development is a lot slower than software development. So instead of telling you about all my experience with these things, let me let you know, I don't think PulseChain is going to be launched for. I mean, you know what? If it's launched next month, great. Richard Hart and team, they're talking a lot about PulseX and a lot of changes and things going on with PulseX. They've got to excite people with what's going on, because in the blockchain world, in the PulseChain world, there's not a whole lot of updates that people are going to understand. It's hard to understand a lot of these blockchain updates. It's a very abstract thing, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. I will be super surprised if PulseChain is launched before June. I'll be insanely surprised. I'll be very happy too. I'll be very excited about that. I think it could be the end of this year. To be completely frank with you, I believe PulseChain could be launched by the end of 2022. And I really hope it doesn't take that long. I really hope it doesn't. I'm really hoping PulseChain comes out next month. I'm really hoping PulseChain comes out, yeah, next month or the month after. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think you might find people who borrowed from their HSI. You might find them not being able to pay back their Hedron wrapped instance, their stake, what they borrowed against. They might not be able to pay that. think that might happen. Because sorry to give you the bad news, I don't think PulseChain is going to be launched in 1 to 2 months, like Richard Hart keeps saying. I understand a lot of the problems behind it, and that's good that a lot of the problems behind it are being fixed for the markets that exist. That's good. That's good. So PulseX it's great. PulseX had to happen, and PulseX was also a good reason for the leadership of PulseChain to be leaders of PulseX. Yeah. Oops. All right, I'm catching up on some of this chat here. You know, yeah, good question. When will the AMR bonus get triggered? I really have no idea. I've thought a lot about it. I've thought a lot about it. It does seem to be something that will trigger quite a bit in the future. But then again, remember, you can have proof of benevolence with Hedron. Easy ways to burn Hedron. We'll see. All right, so when it comes to Pulse, when it comes to PulseChain and PulseX, let's talk about something here. Well, with Hedron, let's talk about something here with hey, the beached whale, I saw your message and it just got retracted. I was curious what you said. All right, so next thing here. Okay. Okay, so Ethereum and PulseChain. A lot of people think that Ethereum having fee burning is a good thing. Because people, they're like, oh, cool, if fees are being burnt, then there will be less Ethereum in supply, right? There will be less Ethereum in supply, and then cool, Ethereum price will go up. Ethereum was never designed for its price to go up. And there's been a lot of things done where people have lost a lot of money with people who were trading, really. But Ether currency, the currency that runs Ethereum, was never designed to go up in value. It was never designed to be a pump-a-mental or to be pumped-a-mentaled. It was never designed to be that way. But now, when you have fee burning, people think that's a great thing. People keep saying, "Oh, we need the price of Ethereum, not the price of Ethereum. We need the price of fees to go down." People are saying this. Get fees to go down. Get fees to go down. Well, when the price of Ethereum is rising, your fees are more expensive, right? And when you have fee burning, where you have less supply of ether over time, that's a pumpamental. That's something that could that is something that's going to have a lot of influence over the price of ether currency. So if you have a steadily inclining price of ether, and then let's do a little price like that. If you have steadily increasing price of ether, and you have a network that's getting more and more congested, you're going to have bigger fees in the future. Now, PulseChain. So PulseChain has 4 times the amount of throughput. Beautiful. That's great. So when PulseChain has 4 times the amount of activity as the Ethereum blockchain, maybe the fees will be the same, right? But PulseChain, PulseChain is it's likely going to beat Ethereum to the burning, to fee burning. So each time you pay a fee for your transaction, a little bit of that Pulse currency will be burnt. So yeah, this is something that can have PulseChain's price increase over time. This will influence the price. How much? I have no idea. But it is something that will influence the price. So that means PulseChain fees relative to US dollar are going to only increase over time, right? And the more people use it, the more it's going to increase over time. So that's something I wanted people to bear in mind and to keep in mind, that it's actually a good thing. It's actually a really good thing for blockchains like, Ethereum, EOS, um, Binance Smart Chain, PulseChain, it's actually a really good thing for their native token to not be designed to pump in price. But when it came to EOS, EOS's EOS's um, ecosystem is awesome. EOS kicks ass. EOS is great. Um, the team behind it's a different story. Now you have Wax, which is a fork of EOS, and Wax's community is amazing. Wax has a great community. The Hex community, the Pulse Chain community, the Hex community, the Pulse Hex community, that's definitely the best community out there, in my opinion, that I've been part of. It's great. The Wax community is like second. But EOS and Wax, the biggest problem is onboarding. Terrible process for onboarding. They must invest in more tools to make it easier for people to get on board. And there have been many improvements. But I tell you what, MetaMask is great. You download MetaMask. People who are used to Bitcoin are used to writing down their 12-word phrase. From the mobile app, you can buy Ether straight from there. That's a great onboarding process. That's great. And the wallet is easy to acquire. The wallet's easy to figure out. In the EOS world and the Wax world, that's not easy to figure out. Like, that's terrible. When I went through that process, I documented it because onboarding is a hugely important thing. And I was just like, I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe how terribly difficult it was to onboard, even for somebody like myself who I've onboarded myself into many, many different blockchains. Yeah, and then seeing the difficulty that other people were having, I'm like, wow, this is terrible. So adoption's important. PulseChain, Ethereum, great adoption. Ethereum is the #1 winner in the blockchain world because of onboarding. Because it was much easier for people to get Ether currency than it was to get Proton shares, which is what became BitShares. Much easier to onboard on, much easier to get a wallet and all this stuff. Easier than Steem. Steem made some improvements, but Steem had two crippling flaws. One was the ability to downvote, to take away rewards for somebody's blog post. That was crippling for Steem. Steem's team, sorry to talk shit about you guys, but your team was not too open with working with other businesses. Heard that from other businesses, experienced myself another time with another business I was working with. Bad move. But also its onboarding process was terrible. It was a huge improvement though, doing it all throughout the web-based onboarding. That was a big improvement. But the onboarding was terrible because people wanted to get more Steem, and they had no easy ways to get Steem. They had to jump through other cryptocurrencies before they could get Steem, and that's bad. That's really bad. So what am I talking about here? PulseChain, yeah. Onboarding is going to be super important for PulseChain. PulseChain, I doubt it's going to be here before June. I hope it is. Really hope it is. I doubt it. And the fee burning for PulseChain, PulseChain has some economics built in, some tokenomics built in for PulseChain's price to be influenced to go up and have more buying pressure over time. And that's great, but keep in mind, fees are going to get more expensive over time. And how's that going to be fixed? That'll be fixed by new releases of PulseChain. And the network, the consensus network, or the delegated people, they're going to have to agree on the new software to run. And I think that'll happen. And I think fees will, we'll see. I mean, that's a hard thing to figure out. Thanks for listening. I wanted to talk a little bit about that. I think that's good to be aware of. Because high fees do shut out users. They do shut out, like with the Ethereum world, with Hedron even, there's a lot of people can't use Hedron properly because of the fees. That's a big problem. And with PulseChain coming out, more people are going to be able to use Hedron until PulseChain, But hey, those are probably problems we get to worry about 4 years later, right? Rather worry about those in 4 years from now. All right. Burnt. If you look at your Etherscan, yeah. Hex Pulse. Yeah, good point. That fee burning, when did that even start? Um, when did that start? I feel like it was like 6 months ago or something, but yeah, never done before. PulseChain's ability to adopt other people is going to be incredible. Um, God, PulseChain and PulseX, they're very interesting projects. Very cool. Due for the need of people to bridge unless they are on a centralized exchange. CEX, by the way, centralized exchange for anybody wondering. I think we lose people due to bridging. Yeah, bridging is a like bridging is a you got to think about the onboarding process, right? Like for non-technical people, because like who's the target audience for Pulse Chain, right? Who's the target audience for Hedron? Target audience for Hedron are hex users and speculators and people who want to get into hex by buying other people's stakes, but mainly hex users, and um, that's the target audience. Now with Pulse Chain, the target audience are all the smart contracts that didn't work anymore, didn't have users. There's a huge target audience with Pulse Chain. But what I'm getting at is the real target audience for all this crypto stuff is non-crypto people. The real target audience are the crypto curious. The real target audience are um, people who, I mean, I wouldn't say people who have a bad taste in their mouth of crypto. Let them have the bad taste in their mouth. Let them miss out. Sucks for them, but there were people who didn't use the internet for a long time and they prevented themselves from enjoying life more, or they prevented themselves from having more tools at their disposal, or whatever. They don't care. Their life is great and they're on an island somewhere and it's beautiful. Um, but um, but the target audience is whose life can you improve with PulseChain? And there's a lot of Ethereum users who they would use it a lot more if fees weren't as high. They would. There's so many people that are shut out of Ethereum. So PulseChain's target audience are Ethereum users and are also people who have been shut out of Ethereum. People, for example, people who have hex stakes that are too expensive to end the stake because it's like a 1 or 2 year stake, and they're sitting there going, "Holy God, this is like $700, $800." Then again, if that stake over the last year or two, it's going to be worth significantly more. But maybe they just need to get a loan from somebody, for $1,000 or $2,000 in unstake, right? So, are there concerns? A bottleneck due to the need for people to bridge? I don't think it'll be too big of a bottleneck, but you're right. Bridging is a very scary process for anybody when they do it the first time. It's a very scary process. Um, I mean, I remember being afraid of when I bridged for the first time. I think it was, I think it was Dogecoin to Ethereum, right? Ren bridge. Ren was cool. I used Ren a lot. Yeah. Hmm. Richard Hart will refork Pulse at least twice in the future. Yeah, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Layer two scaling. Layer twos, they're super popular for a reason. You listen to the market, and the market's saying good things. So all right, well, thank you for listening to this live thing. I'm so happy. I hope to look back at this and see the 4K look beautiful, look better. Have my microphone here. Let me see. People were telling me get a better microphone. It's like I have it. I just don't have it in my face when I'm talking. Oop. I just don't have I don't have that podcaster set up. Oop. I bet my voice is a lot louder than it was before. All right. Hey, and the room looks cleaner. Huh? Like a lot cleaner. I'm super excited about it. I'm wearing some shorts too. Wearing some shorts too. That's flexing for the Hedron flex. So, all right, hey, there you go, everybody. There's your first Hedron flex. I don't know how much was spent. I hadn't even showed the whole thing of it here. Maybe like 20K, but I mean, purpose is like tokenomics. Tokenomics can do a lot for you economically. And that's what I'm going to talk about more. I'm going to talk more about tokenomics on this channel. I'm going to rename this channel to be something to do with tokenomics. And uh, yeah, these new cryptocurrencies, they're creating so much wealth for people that it is inevitable that that's all we do in the future is cryptocurrency. Nobody's going to want to be left out of something like that. All right, well, take care. Thanks for where's my stop stream button? There it is. Thanks for watching. Peace. Well, maybe not goodbye for now because I gotta press this yes button. Like yours, what? You will not be able to reconnect. Your stream will stop and will no longer be live. So what does yes mean? What does no mean? If I hit yes, like, all right, I'm gonna guess that yes stops the stream. All right, and then I'm gonna get home and enjoy that. Hey, take care. Have fun. Any other stuff you want to learn about? I know, when are you typically on Thursday nights? I think Thursday nights are when I'm typically on. It seems to be Thursday nights. How much is a good bag of Hedron? Good question. I think Thursday nights, it's a good time. I am going to be live streaming more this next week. There's a project that I'm involved in, a smart contract being developed, the Genius Smart Financial Contract. Um, it's a smart contract designed to only go up in value, and it's taking a lot of lessons from other smart contracts, including Hex, things that Hex didn't do right, although it did phenomenal. Don't get me wrong, I'm not talking badly about it. So I'll be talking more about that. I think it'll be interesting. I'll be talking about the tokenomics of that. And hey, if there's any, come on into look at the description, and you'll see there's a Jenny Crypto chat room, t.me/Jenny Crypto, Telegram chat room for the Genius Financial Smart Contract, Genius Smart Financial Contract. You can reach me in there over Telegram. I love Telegram. Happy to talk over that. You can go to my Twitter and hit me up, but I talk in Telegram all the time. And I'm happy for people to PM me if you want me to talk about the tokenomics of other things. I'm happy to talk about it. This is a very interesting topic. It's very life-changing for more people. The more you learn about it, the more you're going to be able to make very wise decisions or decisions that you're happy with. All right, so here, yeah, how high can Hedron go? 0.001, like a tenth of a penny. I mean, it's the sky's the limit, right? Who knows? Like, I don't know, but speculating. And but I do want to answer these questions. How much is a good bag of Hedron? Here's what I think. Look at my past videos on YouTube. I have one about desire and how important it is. Because people who are interested in tokenomics, people who are interested in manifesting more money or having more money, the biggest thing that holds anyone back from having more money is their lack of desire for money. And a lot of people are unaware of their lack of desire. So your question, how much is a good bag of Hedron? That's something very personal for you. Think of a big bag of money, right? That you'd be very happy with. But imagine, like, if you think to yourself, oh yeah, a bag of $1 billion, I'll take that. Well, really think about it. If there was a bag of $1 billion, which would be an insanely large bag, by the way, really put yourself in the mindset of how you're going to feel about that. Chances are you'll be afraid to take it. You know, $1 billion, big bag. You'll look at that and go, well, how am I even going to transport that? What if I get robbed taking this? What if my safety's at risk? So look at, if you're wondering how big is a good bag or how much is a good bag of Hedron, you really got to discover that for yourself. You got to discover that for yourself. I think the better question in cryptocurrencies is, do you like what's going on with it? Does it interest you? Because if you like it and it interests you, it doesn't matter how bad the tokenomics are. You're gonna learn a lot of valuable things from it. Um, but a lot of people want a better financial position. So, hey, good luck with that. I don't know the answer. I have ideas on how to find that answer. But be happy with what you do, and everyone take care. Eat more fruit, and I'm really looking forward to this. This is fun. So thank you all. Thank you all for watching and chatting.